Hi, Muchísimo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, and share, and give a thumbs up if you found this video helpful and you think it would be helpful to someone else. I'd appreciate that. You know, when you meet a narcissist and they begin to tell you stuff, most often it's a lie. And there's a saying, how do you know a narcissist is lying? Their mouth is moving. I think that was kind of funny, but in all seriousness, when they began to meet you for the first time and say you're interacting, having a conversation, you will notice that they will begin to try to tell you. They'll lay down the ruse of how this person was, and they will try to blanket their deception in how much they gave their all. They tried their best to make it work, but it just wasn't enough. And so when they begin to talk to you, if you're an empath or a chosen one that is inquisitive, you already are a bad candidate for them to make a victim, because your victimhood will be short-lived. If it was anything like mine, it was in totality, getting to know her from start to finish, maybe a year and a half. I married her, 7 months, she was gone. And what afforded me a lot of awareness immediately after I awakened to what this lunacy was, this behavior that she was demonstrating. What was my strength was I wasn't clammy. I wasn't always up under her. I was always doing things. I was always outside. I was always active, and I am now. So a lot of things about my lifestyle have not changed since the narcissist. So when you're the type of person, you're busy and you're concentrated on things that matter. You know you're babysitting. You know you adopted a little kid when you got involved with the narcissist. And so this is what they do. They want to distract you from everything that you once used to hold near and dear to you, your priorities. And although they distracted me from a lot of things, like I told you guys in a video, they would always take me away from what I'm doing with silly, frivolous stuff like lighting the pilot on the stove. And so back to point, when you're inquisitive, because I was, when they began to lay down this ruse of how bad this relationship was, but they gave their all. If you're inquisitive and you began to ask them, well, if that happened like that, what happened? What was this all about? You would actually, you would pry a little more. And what they will do, you will notice that they will continue to talk as you're asking them that question. You've interjected nonchalantly, but they don't even hear you asking a question, because what they're doing is reciting. They're reciting this bull, this BS. And so they've tuned everything out, because in their mind, they've recited. And so they're concentrating on more or less putting down this lie, this script. And what you're doing by asking is interrupting that. And this is why they will continue to talk. When they do stop talking, you'll say 5 minutes later, after they're done talking, you like, I was asking you about that situation you just said. And they'll either give you word salad like, I don't want to talk about that no more. I shouldn't have never brought it up. And they would deflect. and divert to let's just go ahead and eat. Let's not talk about that. We can talk about that some other time. They will snow you over with that excuse. And if you're the kind of person that will go the distance and say, well, I'm interested in what you just said, though. Just address that one point and we can go ahead and finish eating. And you'll find them scrambling. And it won't sound like what they just said. And they will be cutting and pasting and patching that story up because they didn't anticipate a person like you that was inquisitive, that you've seen this movie before. Although you weren't aware of narcissistic personality disorder, you have seen this movie before. You've gone through relationships before and you found out that person was a pathological liar, but you didn't know that this was a disorder. But post-awakening, once you've awakened from narcissistic personality disorder going forward, disorder, abuse, going forward, you will ask, you will question anything that doesn't sound the least bit convincing. Matter of fact, if it sounds more like the same old, you will inquire. Rightfully so. And when you inquire, this is the taste test that this person is very disordered. I talk about a lot of things about signs. This is when you will realize that this is your time to exit this situation. And you don't have to give them any indication. Like I say, don't give them the memo. You will entertain this date or this dinner or interaction, and you will cease and desist. And you will have it so quiet in that narcissist's life going forward that they will be able to hear a mice pee on cotton. They will probably text your phone, and this is the reverse ghost. You're ghosting them because you don't want no part of them. You've already seen enough. You know how this movie ends. So before you awaken to narcissistic personality disorder and the abuse that follows, you were pretty much inquisitive nonetheless. But they gave you word salad. You went on about your business and you knew that something didn't fit right. You knew it didn't sound right. But again, we were trying to get to the next stage of that relationship. Most often it was physical. Because whatever attracted you to the narcissist, you don't know how to abort mission because we are somewhat delusional. We think what we're seeing is just some kind of glitch. We just think this is just a false alarm. We're overreacting. Even though you have your inquisitiveness, you have your intuition that's kicking in the high gear, because a chosen one and an empath, that's innate to who you are. It is like something rises up into you, like almost getting close to a heater or a heat source. You feel something that goes off inside of you that doesn't sit right with you. And so you begin to ask questions. And when you ask those questions, you will see, we noticed before we awakened to narcissistic personality disorder, abuse and all of that lunacy, we knew that something just was not right, but we continue on. We continue on. Even after relationships prior to that or before that one, and this is all before we awakened, we've gone through probably numerous relationships that were so similar in the details. Verbatim, if we look back, they gain a lot of intel from us, but they only give a little bit. And what they give is false. What they give is watered down. What they give is a bunch of confusion. Now that we're looking back, and not so much looking back, we're looking at that narcissist that we escaped from That last narcissist that taught us and educated us in the ways of how they move, the things they do, the things they say, the mannerism, the behavior. And we see that if we determine these things earlier on, we know that it doesn't matter how good they look, how intelligent they appear, how much of a status quo that they have, how influential they are in the community, how much we are dependent on what they could probably contribute to our life as far as connections. We understand that we must cease and desist because we don't need them like we think we need them. They need us. They need us. Without us, they will fail to exist. They will literally die if they don't get the supply they need. They will decompose physically. Their body will decompose while they're yet alive. This is why you see some of them when they go through a very, very severe narcissistic injury, that sometimes they won't bathe. You'll see them, they will look so disheveled, and they will, after they get out of the relationship, let's say with a high grade fuel source, like you probably were, and they didn't see it coming, it hits them like a brick. And I've been away for a few days, and I've been investigating this Caitlin Conley story, and I've been trying to gather some stuff to where I can talk a little bit more about this, because some reason I just can't shake this. And then I'm looking at this Tiffany Hanyard, Super Mary in Chicago, and all of this stuff entails narcissism. Deeply seated ego tripping narcissist. At least that's my opinion. And it's just a bunch of things. And I was looking at the rapper Jeezy, and the situation he has been going through with his wife. I was looking at a video of her going back to the residence to try to get her property, her belongings. Go check that video out when she pulls up with the U-Haul. And what I would like for you guys to just notice, it's about a 23-minute video, I believe it is. And it's called Cam something on YouTube. And you will see the behavior. You will see her trying to unction these police to give her rites of passage to do a walkthrough in the house. She is nitpicking at the boxes being damaged. Jeezy is not on the premises, and something tells me he's been alerted to what he's dealing with regards to this female, his ex-wife. And she has a talk show. And you'll see these dynamics of how these people try to persuade and manipulate a situation. And she's sitting there at the garage like these police officers are going to spend half a day going through, waiting for her to go through each and every one of these boxes. It's absurd, the stuff that these people do. And you will see all of this kind of stuff happening right before our eyes. And it's the people we look up to. We must observe people we hold in high regard, and namely our celebrities. I don't care if it's an actress, your favorite actress, your favorite actor. Look at some of the behaviors when they are falling from grace. Look at some of the real life situations that they're going through. I'm not talking about a Jennifer Aniston and those type situations. We're talking about these raw engaging interactions where this venom is being spewed. And they air it out on not just social media, but they air it out when police officers arrive. This is uncut. This is not scripted. And just watch the way that they behave. and see if it doesn't resonate with something you went through with a narcissist. They'll have you sounding in back to Jeezy's wife. She's alleged that he abused her. You know, I'm so sick of women alleging this foolishness when it never happened. And there are women that are outraged with this, but not enough to where it's going to make a difference. Because what we have to understand, men and women, if you're a woman, you have a daughter, your daughter, you want her to be raised in a way where she doesn't embrace this type of mentality. If you're an empath, if you're an empath mom, don't allow your little girl or woman child to think she can lie her way through life and get away with it. And if you men have a daughter, teach them like I'm teaching my daughter. Be accountable for and be responsible for the parts you play in life. Don't hold other people responsible for what only you are responsible for. We must break this curse. We must hold these people in account where they need to bring receipts. They need to have checks and accounts and balances for everything that they say out of their mouth. She tried to go, Jeezy's ex-wife, tried to go and get in vitro fertilization after he's filed a divorce because she has a child by him, child trap. This stuff is so robotic to the point where they all do the same thing. And men are no exception if they are narcissists and they have disorders, personality disorder, cluster Bs. They are relentless. They will not let well enough alone. When you cease and desist, you no longer want to be involved with them. They are not done with you. So, a little bit away from topic, but so what? It's all about narcissists. And so in these conversations that you have with these narcissists, initially you'll be able to determine they will be talking a mile a minute and you will interject and say, well, what happened? If that's what happened, then what did you do? XYZ. And so fill in the blanks, guys. I don't want to do a scenario or an example, but as I'm talking about this, I'm sure when you did inquire and became inquisitive, did you notice that this narcissist continued to talk almost like a record that was stuck? That's because they were reciting what they were telling you. And when you tried to break that train of thought, because if you're talking to someone and you're telling them a story about an experience in a relationship or whatever, and they interject and say, well, can you explain to me what happened there? You will readily stop, pause, and express some type of explanation to help that person understand, because you're transparent. You want them to know the details and you want them to have the full understanding of the story. This is what people do when they don't want to just blame people. They will tell the truth. If this person is responsible for this, that, and the other, they will tell the story. And if I'm responsible for something, I will say, well, this is what I did. And this is why I did it. And if it doesn't make sense, it's nonsense. And we won't justify what we did. On the contrary, empaths will say, you know what, I did this, and this was as a result of what they did. And I know this was not right. But at the point when I did it, I was angry, whatever, whatnot. That's being accountable for things. Narcissists won't be accountable. They'll give you some BS and then dare you to question it, because if you question it early on in the relationship, you become discarded or devalued earlier rather than later. So thank God that you was inquisitive and you asked a lot of darn questions, because guess what? That got you kicked out of the game quicker than you would have been. Because the longer you stay there stagnated and don't question anything about them, they deem you as a great source of supply and they deem you a dummy. That being said, bless.